Hi, my name is Frankie,
And I'm Jonathan.
and we came together for Global Game Jam to make Battle for Creation. The general gist is God has decided to retire, and you and everyone you're playing with are going to be tested to see if you can be God's replacement. The goal of the game is to have a perfect balance of creatures in your respective worlds. In the game, there's going to be the Dedica cards, 108 total, 64 creature cards, 44 prayer cards. We'll go over more as we go into the rules. Alternatively, if you can't get the deck, you can also use 2 normal standard playing decks with the jokers included.
The game can be played with 2 to 4 players.
And usually takes about like 30 to a half hour or 30 minutes to an hour, depending how long you go. Now, as stated earlier, some of the things you want to create balance in your world are to put creatures in your world. There are black creatures and there are white creatures. Some creatures have effects. I don't know if you can see it. Bless. Some creatures have effects. Some do not. They go in your field and you have to balance out. 2 blacks, 1 white. And we need to balance it out, so we will obviously need another white. Then there are prayer cards. They allow you to mess with your opponents. And that's the general gist, just so you can get started. So I guess we can start a game play.
Yep.
You would start with shuffling. And each player draws 5, 1 from the top. Alright. To determine who goes first, both players have to come up with 2 nouns that are opposites. Whoever has the most unique pair of opposites gets to go first. Black and white, so that you have the higher probability going first. Let's go.
Cat and dog.
Alright, cool. So he gets to go first.
So during a standard turn, you would draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. Because each player starts with 5 cards in their hand during the first round of turns, you would not draw a card. And then once you have 5 cards in your hand, you get to play 1 card, either 1 creature or 1 prayer. And then based on what effect that card has, you would then go into that effect. So let's say I play this card. I'm going to play the card called Blind Friendship. So it's a little blurry.
I think you should just read it at this point.
Yeah, it's a little blurry, but essentially what this card says is that I pick a target opponent. This would be in case you were playing with more than one other person, but since it's just the both of us, me and her will take a random card from each other's hands and then trade them. So we could hold our hands out like this and then just go over and grab one. And then now that I've played this card and the effect has passed, it would go into the graveyard pile.
Then it would be the next person's turn, which would typically be to the left in a larger group and go clockwise, I believe. If not, in this situation, it's me. I still have my 5 cards, so I don't draw anymore. But every turn you have to play a card. So, in my case, because you played a prayer, I'm going to play a creature card. This creature card is the Scientist. Whenever an opponent plays a prayer card that targets you, you can play this card to nullify the effect. In this situation, I could have used the Scientist to nullify his prayer, even though it wasn't my turn, because you can only play cards your turn. The Scientist is the only card that is able to do this. However, to win, you ultimately need to be the last one remaining or have enough creatures on your field that balance out. So I will play the creature. Because it cannot use its effect, it's just its creature in play and the effect no longer goes.
And now it would go back to my turn. And since I only have 4 cards, I get to draw one. And you just rinse and repeat until one player wins the game. And so that's what we'll do. So for my turn, I will play I will play a rock. Now a rock does not have an effect, it's just a rock. So now it's her turn.
I can draw a card. Because I only had 4. Now, I play a human. Humans can destroy another human, rock, or tree on the field that is opposite of color. This one's a white human, and he played a black rock. So by effect of my card, his rock would go to the graveyard. And that would be the end of my turn.
Yep. So I would draw again. Now I will use a prayer. I'll use Tyrant's move. And so this allows me to take one creature of the opposite color from her field. And so since this one's a white card, I can take her Scientist.
And this is an example of playing a card when it's not your turn. The only card, as earlier stated, the Scientist. I happen to have another Scientist card. When an opponent plays a prayer card, which this one is a prayer card, that targets you, you can play this card to nullify its effect. So it's nullified, goes to the graveyard, and because I played it, it also goes into my field.
And that would be the end of my turn.
And then I have 3 cards, so I draw till I have 5. Okay. Did this stick? This did stick. I'm gonna just put that one down because I can't see. Okay. I will play another prayer card, Collecting Taxes. Target opponent shows the cards in their hand that are opposite color of this card. Then choose one card for them to discard. So I have a black card. So he shows me all the white cards in his hand. And I can choose of whatever to discard. I'm gonna...
Dang.
Yep.
Don't want me to sacrifice one of your creatures?
No.
Now I have 3 cards, so draw 2. And I'm going to play Warring Countries. So when you play this creature, it allows you to play another creature from your hand that is opposite color of it. But that creature, if it has an effect, would not be able to activate its effect. In this case, I'll just play a rock.
Safe move. And a strategy to consider, because there are other cards that don't have effects, is if you were to play that card with a Scientist. Because you played it in that sense, you basically can't use the Scientist anymore. Most of these cards have an effect, so it's a pretty hard gamble to make sure you know, like, what's going to happen next, or, like, what your plan is for winning. Anyhow, it's my turn. I have 4 cards, so I draw one. Alright. I shall play a prayer, the Grim Reaper. I choose one card in the graveyard that is the same color as this card, which is a white card, and add that card to my hand. So, you cannot use the Reaper to pull back into your hand. You have to use what's already in the graveyard. In my situation, I will take this card. And that will be the end of my turn.
Alright, I have 3 cards again, so drawing 2. Now I'm going to play the Interdimensional Travel. So this one, we flip the cards on our field face down, shuffle them around. I only have 2, so this isn't...
It's not much of a shuffle.
Hope she doesn't memorize. And then we would each pick one random card from the field and then trade them. So I'll go for this one.
And flip.
Dang, didn't win.
So, what he was trying to do, I'm going to just scoot this forward so you can see this. In this game, a way to eliminate players, the only real way to eliminate players, is they either are unable to draw 3 of more color than the other. For example, I have 2 whites and 1 black. However, when he was trying to switch, he was hoping I got one of his whites. If that were to happen, I would have 3 whites and 0 blacks. Because of that, I would have 3 more of one color to the other. This could apply in just this situation that I had another white down. Even if I had a black, I still have 3 more than the 1 black I have. So thus, I would be eliminated because I wasn't able to keep balance. Put that back in my hand. I guess you get to see my hand for free.
But in this case, we just traded opposite colors, so
Yes.
she's still in the game.
Yes. Coy move.
Hey, I had to give it a try.
Alright, now it's my turn. I had drawn too many cards, so now I can't draw, or I had more 5 to start with, so I can't draw. Yeah. I shall play a prayer. Glorious sacrifice. Destroy target creature on the field that is opposite color of this card. This is a white card. I can destroy a black card. This could be in your field or the other field. So, for example, if you notice you have like 2 away from 3 and maybe, or like you're at 2 and you need 1 more black and then you're eliminated, and maybe your player has a card that can force you out. Sometimes you could do this to yourself as well. This is not just applied to other players. But in this situation, I'm gonna get rid of his black card. And that will be the end of my turn.
Alright, I'll draw 1. I'm just gonna play my Peace Treaty. Now normally this would allow me to play another creature of the same color, but since I do not have another creature that is black in my hand, I cannot play it. So its effect just does nothing.
Then, end turn. Then it'll be my turn. Do my draw cards. I shall play my Warring Countries. And as explained earlier, when it is played, a creature of the opposite color is played, unless it's not in your hand. I happen to have one. I have a human creature that's white in my hand, and I played it, and I shall play it. And the effects of it does not go into play because of it nullifies the effect whatever creature it brings in, and that will be the end of my turn.
I will use another Peace Treaty to play another Peace Treaty.
Not your best move.
I mean...
I wouldn't have used a peace treaty to do another peace treaty, but okay. We explained what peace treaties were, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I played one last time.
You know what? I'm very forgetful. I'm just making sure. We don't have a list we're marking through. Anyway, my turn. I draw until I have 5. So I had 3, so I draw 2 cards. Should we prolong this game or...
I mean, if you think you can end the game right now, then sure. Go for it.
I will play Tyrant's move, Prayer. I can either take 1 creature or from another player's field or give a target opponent a creature of the opposite color from your field. This is a black card. So I can give him a white card. And if you and I can both count, he has 3 more whites than he does a black. And he is thus eliminated, and I become the next god.
Yep. So, in this case, I lose the game, she wins. Now, the other instance of winning the game, let's say...
Would be
how many
to
creatures do you have?
Creatures, heavy.
So, since we're playing 2 players, we would need to assemble 5 of each, so...
We're gonna have to like move this up so the camera.
So another way, if the game kept going on, is if let's grab more creatures here. So if one of us managed to assemble a board that looked like this.
There you go.
Yep.
Don't
Sorry.
worry about it. Don't worry about it.
So for 2 players, the minimum amount, you would need 5 black and 5 white creatures on your board, and you would win the game if you assembled this first. Alternatively, if this keeps going, as long as the numbers are above 5, so you could also have 6 and 6, 7 and 7, and so on. They just have to be even amounts, and you have to have a minimum of 5 each. So like, in this case, 6 and 6, this also works. So yeah, that's the gist of the game.
A rule we did forget to mention because it can happen, but it's not very common. Similar to how we draw until we have 5 cards at the beginning of our turn, if at the end of our turn we had more than 5 cards, we have to discard whatever cards we have until we have 5. So if I had 8 I'm assuming this is 8 cards. I have to discard until I only have 5. I can pick whatever cards I have, and because we're not playing a game, I discard all of these. And you can only leave your turn with 5 cards at most.
Well, thank you for watching, and hopefully you have fun playing Battle for Creation.